says, kidding yourselves, that changes in domestic policy will solve this problem?
No, Lee. I mean, see, this is the point I was trying to make before. Kevin Rudd is in trouble on this issue because we don't know who the real Kevin Rudd is. Kevin Rudd beats his chest and says a very hard-line message in terms of a humanitarian process that he's wedded to when he's behind closed doors with his caucus. When he's on the 7:30 report talking to a particular audience, he's very compassionate. When he's talking to the Daily Telegraph, he's all hard line in relation to border protection. And the Prime Minister can't have it both ways. He has made changes to facilitate the left wing of his party, which has made Australia more attractive. There's no question about that. That is a reality, and that is why we've seen now just dozens of boats, and there will be dozens more that are going to turn up on our shores. And that is not because of the push factors, as the Prime Minister tries to get out there. It is largely relating to the government's softening of their approach. Nobody can dispute that, and despite all of the lines which are rehearsed with focus groups that the Prime Minister gets out there on, his feigned indignation yesterday to Wilson Tuckey's comments, he went completely over the top yesterday, and I think it shows that he, like on many issues, is not genuine. This is for him just another fuel watch issue, another grocery watch issue. Lee, that's this man.
Okay, I just want to pick up with you raising Wilson Tuckey. Jason Clare, as Mr Dutton said, the Prime Minister did attack Wilson Tuckey for saying that there could be an occasional terrorist in a boatload of people. Isn't Mr Tuckey reflecting a concern that many Australians might hold?
Well, Mr Tuckey is harking back to an Australia of the past. I think Australia's moved on. Dinosaurs in the Australian Parliament, like Wilson Tuckey, need to move on as well. A lot of those dinosaurs from the Howard government aren't there anymore.
But are you saying
Mr Tuckey should as
that
well.
Australians who maybe share that view are dinosaurs?
No, well, what the Prime Minister has said is there's always been security checks. There's always been health checks for people seeking asylum. But by revving up the temperature here, trying to appeal to people's fear and concern that there are hordes of people on their doorstep, that does the debate no good at all. We want to have a responsible and a mature debate about this. Can I make this point, though? It's the Liberal Party that have two different messages here. They say that the changes that the government has made are responsible for the boats coming. But if you ask Peter, will you reverse any of those changes? Will you restore the Pacific solution, or will you restore temporary protection visas, or will you put kids behind razor wire again? They'll say no. And the reason for that is they're divided. There are some people in the Liberal Party who want that, and there are others who don't.
Well, Peter Dutton, if what Jason Clare says is not correct, why is there no position that the Coalition's putting forward on this issue? You say that you're not happy with what Kevin Rudd's doing, but you're not articulating what should be done in its place.
Well, Lee, I don't want to give an exclusive to Lateline, but the Coalition's not in government.
Please do.
We actually lost the last election. This is a problem that is here and now. The boats are arriving on a daily basis. The election won't be for 12 months' time. So in relation to our position, we will enunciate our position in the lead-up to the next election exactly the same way that Mr Rudd did in the run-up to the 2007 election when he was in opposition. So let's not be fooled that the government can't do anything, or the government can't make changes, or the government can't fix a problem because they don't know what it is the Coalition will announce as part of their election promise.
That it's the removal of temporary protection visas and the Pacific solution and taking kids out from behind razor wire, that's the reason that boats are coming here now? Is that your argument? You're saying that the changes we've made are the reason the boats are coming here?
I'm saying to you a couple of things, Jason. The first thing is that Wilson Tuckey's comments that were made yesterday probably wouldn't have made the nightly news without Kevin Rudd's reaction. Kevin Rudd's over-the-top response yesterday completely highlighted what Wilson Tuckey had to say, and Mr Rudd did that for his own political reasons. It was not to add to the debate.
All right,
it's all rhetoric and there's no policy.
We're almost out of time, so I just want to raise one other issue. Peter Dutton, how lucky was it for the Coalition that asylum seekers dominated the news this week and pushed the emissions trading scheme off the front pages?
Well, I think there's no luck to it. This is a very difficult issue, but what it does do is highlight a Prime Minister that tries to walk both sides of the street. So in that sense, it's good for Australians to get a better insight into exactly who the Prime Minister is. Now, there are many more issues on the horizon which will expose the true Kevin Rudd. One day we'll see him, and people will be able then to make up their minds. But for the Coalition, just like the Labor Party, we have members in our backbench and on our front bench who have different views on different issues. We are in a democracy. One of the ironic aspects to the ETS debate, Lee, is that there are many sceptics within the Labor Party, some of whom I know are on the front bench in relation to this debate, and they aren't out there talking publicly, but behind closed doors, let me tell you, they are singing a very different tune.
All right.
Lee, there are people in the Liberal Party who think climate change is what happens when you get on a plane and you fly to Europe in July. That's the big problem here. You've got people who don't think it exists. I'm hopeful, though, that now that there are amendments that the opposition are willing to talk to us about, that we can get somewhere, because that's what Australia wants. They want the two parties to sit down, broker an agreement, get legislation through the Parliament this year, and hopefully, if goodwill prevails, we'll get there.
All right, we are out of time.
Now,
Jason
Jason,
Clare,
we're not going to seriously talk about jet-setting politicians with your leader, surely. The bloke spends half his life overseas.
You know that there are people in your party who just think that climate change is a left-wing conspiracy like the G20.
Right.
Hopefully we'll get serious.
All right, we could go on with this debate all night, but we are out of time. Jason Clare and Peter Dutton, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Jason. Cheers.
Cheers.